Isn't that pretty? There's just something about old farm buildings that's just, I don't know, picturesque, isn't it? Like, dang, this is just a calving shed, but man. Anyway, I am still up at my aunt and uncle's ranch. It's kind of weird because they've moved the cows to a neighboring pasture on the other quarter. So it's weirdly quiet here when growing up, always coming out here for the summers. It was always very loud. The cows were constantly on the move, constantly making noise, but it's got this weird peacefulness that I've never experienced here. So kind of interesting. Anyway, overthinking is the death of momentum. Gosh, I'm such a good YouTuber, aren't I? I'm so succinct and precise, and I know exactly. No, not at all. This is a lies. Anyway, I did a TikTok about this, and I think it warranted a larger video because is that a mosquito on me? Sorry. I think a lot of us are overthinkers. And I know from personal experience that my overthinking often results in stagnation. It results in the inability to do anything, the inability to get anything done. It's really just crippling. Overthinking can be an absolutely crippling phenomenon that we experience as humans, and our brains are trying to work through situations or dilemmas or problems, and as a result, our bodies don't do anything. We are not, and I'm not one of these people that needs to be productive. You need to do this. You need to do this. I'm not one of those people, but overthinking does cause stagnation, and it does result in the death of momentum, which is the thumbnail title, catchy, whatever the thing for the YouTube, whatever. But it's true. It's really true. Recently, I feel like I've been pretty good recently with the overthinking. What I do is I'm like, nope, I'm not going to think about it this way. I'm not going to allow myself to think of these situations. Whatever I'm thinking about hasn't happened yet. So we're not going to do this. And that's been pretty good. But in the last day or two, I have caught myself more than once thinking about stupid things, thinking about future situations, and I've had to go, Jax, enough, stop. You're not there yet. The situations and the people in these situations, no, you can't bring yourself there. And it's negative thinking. That's the other thing. It'd be different if it wasn't me being negative, but it is. So I've had to stop myself a few times and say the future doesn't exist yet. And when it arrives, I will greet the future and I will deal with it at that time. But I'm not going to spend my present dealing with stuff like that. It's not worth it. It doesn't work out well. And it's kind of dumb. Not gonna lie. Oh. Okay, I lied. Apparently there are a few cows here. Sorry, I had no idea. What are you two doing? Yeah, so apparently we do. Hello. These are yearlings. That's interesting. My aunt and uncle were like, yeah, all of them are at the other pasture. Well, clearly not all of them. Anyway, here, sorry, I will sit you guys back down in this beautiful little spot. Okay, so yeah. So, we're going to talk about solutions to overthinking. And I kind of alluded to one already, but the biggest solution, or the biggest thing that helps me anyway, is remembering to ground myself in the present and what I'm doing. This is actually incredibly helpful because as humans, we spend so much of our time thinking and regretting the past and saying, gosh, I wish I did this, or I should have done this. We spend a lot of our time in the future going, oh, well, I'm going to do this, or man, I really hope this doesn't happen. And so we spend so much of our time worrying about things completely out of our control. And even when we're living in the present, we might be talking to someone and we're worried about what they think of us, or we're unable to focus on the actual present, and our minds are racing. And so then the overthinking starts. And so I think the greatest solution to overthinking is very clearly grounding yourself in the present, telling yourself that whatever future situation you're thinking about, when you get to that future situation, you're going to handle it. It's okay. You have all the skills, all the tools required to handle whatever situation when it comes up. But you don't need to think about it before that, okay? That's like a big one. The second solution to overthinking, in my view, and what works for me, is moving your body. So if you've ever heard of Cameron Rosin, he's kind of like a online philosopher, I think is the most succinct way of talking about him. Talks about spirituality, talks about mindfulness, talks about the Tao Te Ching. All around interesting character. But he has this little saying, when your mind is racing, you got to move your body. And I think that's really true. The body is one of the only things that can control the mind. If you think about it, our mind kind of controls our body, but at the same time, your body can have a huge impact on your mind and what you're doing, what you're thinking, and how you're acting. So if you're an overthinker, if you have anxiety, going for a walk, even a 10-minute walk, going for a little stroll, moving your body, doing some exercise, changing your surroundings, all of these things can be incredibly helpful in dealing with stress, dealing with overthinking, dealing with anxiety. Because essentially overthinking is just a mental anxiety. It's just the anxiety of, what is this happening? Why is this going? Maybe I should do this. Where did I do this? Why did I say it like that? That is what overthinking is, essentially. And so in order to prevent that kind of stuff, you really have to just get out there, get active. And like I'm saying, you do not have to be active in the sense of you got to go run a marathon or something. Just go for a walk. And if you're unable to go for a walk, if say you live in a place that is -40 for half the year, physical exercise inside, moving around, just walking around your house, that can be super important, because I think a lot of us spend a lot of time cooped up inside in front of screens, and I'm just as bad as anyone else. But I don't know, you spend a little time outside in nature and you realize that taking life seriously is kind of crazy. We're surrounded by life and we need to connect with it. I think a lot of people forget that, yes, humans are social animals. We need to connect with other humans, but we also need to connect with the rest of life. And you can't do that inside your house. We have created our homes as spaces of human isolation. We prevent any animal that we don't want to come into our homes. And plants and animals are only welcome at our invitation. And so you kind of separate yourself from nature. And, there's been lots of studies and clinical trials that have proven that spending time in nature reduces cortisol, reduces stress, leads to healthier outcomes. It's just all around better. And I think we all innately know this. There's something in there's something in us that knows that we are part of nature and that we're supposed to interact with it on a deeper and meaningful basis. But it's far more comfortable most of the time just to sit inside and not engage. But it's also the death of momentum, because it leads to this overthinking and it leads to this sort of human exceptionalism where we think that we are so much more different and unique than animals. And I can tell you, every single year that I was in university, studies and trials were going on that proved that more and more animals have emotions, thoughts, dreams, desires. They figure out concepts. They understand so much more than we had ever thought. And any farmer can tell you that animals are incredibly intelligent. My dad always said that if people knew how intelligent pigs were, they wouldn't eat them. We were pig farmers. And my dad was always a little unnerved by how incredibly intelligent pigs are. but yet we classify them as a certain thing and we call them dirty and we eat them just fine. So I don't know. I don't really know where I was going with that. Basically, don't separate yourself from the universe and the world and get outside, basically, because overthinking is not fun. And understand that you're not alone. I think that's another good piece of advice, is just understand that regardless of how you might perceive your world, you aren't alone, you know? Overthinking is a really common thing, and it sucks. It slows down so much. It is the death of momentum. But yeah, it doesn't have to be done alone. And I would really just recommend to ground yourself in the present. Breathe, breathe in, breathe out, do your breath work, be mindful, appreciate the world you're in and where you are. And yeah. But yeah, as always, let me know your thoughts. Isn't this pretty? I can't get over it. I love it. Old barnwood. There's something about it. Leave me your thoughts, your comments, and I hope you have a beautiful day. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.